I knew something was wrong the moment the room went silent, 20 pairs of eyes cutting into me. Like I was an uninvited ghost drifting into the family reunion, their smiles tightened, practiced. Brittle, I'd been gone only a few years, but they'd rewritten my entire existence in my absence. Failure, dropout, disappointment. I heard every version through whispers that traveled faster than blood. My mother's voice had carried the worst of it. She couldn't handle real life. She told cousins who barely knew me we did everything for her, and she threw it away. Funny how people speak with such certainty when they think the accused will never return. I stepped further inside, the faint smell of old wood and lemon polish filling my lungs. This house had always felt like a museum of curated lies, even. As a child, I felt like a misplaced artifact shoved into the wrong exhibit. Back then, I didn't have words for the unease. I only had the memories of my father's stern looks, my mother's disappointed sighs, and my sister's sugar-coated cruelty. My sister, Leah, was the first to approach. Her smile was the kind you give a dying relative. "You made it," she said, voice sweet but tight. "I was invited," I answered out of courtesy. She corrected softly, as if reminding me of my assigned role. The reunion buzzed back to life, but the tension clung to me like damp air. I walked through the crowd, greeting relatives who already believed the version of me my family preferred. My uncle avoided eye contact. My aunt asked whether I'd found a stable job yet. My grandmother just looked confused, whether from age or stories she'd been fed. I wasn't sure. Flashbacks slipped in with every glance thrown my way. My mother standing over my shoulder as I studied, telling me I'd never be as smart as Leah. My father comparing our accomplishments, like auction items. Leah sneaking into my room the night before exams just to tell me I didn't deserve success. I carried those wounds quietly like invisible bruises that never faded. But their favorite story, the one they paraded around the most, was that I'd left home because I couldn't handle responsibility. They never mentioned the truth, that they'd stolen money from the account I'd built since I was 16, using my savings to cover Leah's debts. They didn't mention the way they tried to pin the blame on me when a creditor showed up at the door. They didn't mention the night I packed my things while they shouted that I was ungrateful for everything they'd given me. They also didn't know what I'd been doing since then. I found a seat near the back wall, where the dim lights flickered just enough to keep the shadows alive. My laptop bag rested at my feet, small, black, and perfectly ordinary. Nobody noticed it. Nobody paid attention to the quiet one. They never had. Leah tapped her glass for attention halfway through the dinner. "Since everyone's here," she announced, "I think it's time we address something." Her eyes drifted to me with a smirk. "Some of us have found it difficult to stay on our feet. And I just want to remind you, family is here to help when we can." There were pitying chuckles. Someone murmured, "She always was sensitive." I felt the heat rising under my skin, not anger, but anticipation, calm, patient, intentional. I said slowly, "If we're discussing the truth tonight," I said, "then let's tell all of it." The room quieted again, suspicion threading through the air. My parents stiffened. Leah's smirk twitched. I reached down, unzipped my bag, and pulled out a small projector, portable, silent, already cued. My thumb hovered over the power button as I watched their faces darken with dawning dread. "I brought something," I continued, "since there are gaps in the stories being told." The screen flickered onto the far wall. First came the forged document scans of the account transfer forms my parents had signed under my name. Then the debt notices addressed to Leah, the ones they'd hidden from extended family by claiming I was the irresponsible one. And then the recordings, short, clipped, perfectly preserved. Leah's voice, frantic and pleading with the creditor. My mother saying, "Just sign it as her, she won't notice." My father agreeing that blaming me would keep the family image clean. Every sound echoed through the room like slow, methodical gunfire. My mother stood abruptly, hands shaking. "Where did you get those digital trails?" I said. "Careless passwords, email backups. You taught me to study hard. I suppose I applied the lesson." Leah lunged for the projector, but an uncle held her back. His expression wasn't sympathetic. It was disgusted. I played one final clip, my mother's voice saying, "If she ever comes back, we'll just tell everyone she ruined her own life." Silence swallowed the room whole. I looked at the family who had smothered me beneath their lies for years. "You wanted everyone to believe I failed," I said softly. "But I only left to survive you." A cousin approached me, one who'd never believed the rumors entirely. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" "Because truth without proof is just noise," I replied. "Tonight, it's evidence." My father opened his mouth, but the weight of the recordings had already collapsed whatever authority he thought he held. People were whispering now, but not about me. They were looking at them the way they once looked at me. I powered down the projector, slid it back into my bag, and felt something unwinding inside my chest. A long-held breath finally exhaled. As I walked toward the door, Leah called out, voice cracking, "You think this fixes anything?" I didn't bother turning. "It wasn't meant to fix," I said. "It was meant to reveal." The night air outside was cold, sharp, cleansing. I let it wash over me as a muffled chaos inside swelled. The family who once called me a failure was now choking on their own truth. I stepped off the porch with steady feet, no longer carrying their stories, only my own. Even shadows feel lighter when you stop living inside someone else's lie. And if you want to hear more stories carved from quiet shadows, stay close.